Captain Solok of the starship Tecumseh has arrived at Deep Space Nine. Captain Sisko's secret weapon is Jake, the slider Sisko. I almost said snake. And a Fancy Dan is a fielder who puts on extra flourish in his movements while making a play in hopes of gaining approval of spectators. Everybody knows that. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello.
Hey, Cirroc.
Hey, there he is. My name is Ryan T. Husk. Today we're doing a review of Deep Space Nine, Season 7, Episode 4, Take Me Out to the Holosuite, written by Ronald D. Moore, directed by Chip Chalmers. This was October 21st, 1998. Where were you? Special thanks, by the way, to Daniel Martinez from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Thank you very much, Daniel Martinez. This is a NOG episode, so Malissa Longo is joining us.
Hi.
Yay.
We also have a very, very special guest. It's also a ROM episode, everybody. If you're listening in, you're going, does that mean? Yes, it does mean. Max GRODENCHIK is here.
Yay.
Just like when he's in the stands by himself cheering.
Oh, I do that. Yeah.
It's this way.
Oh, yeah, right. You're right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it.
I think it's very much a Sisko episode, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a Sisko's episode, but it's also a Rom and Lita episode, I felt.
Mm-hmm. It was a family episode.
Mm-hmm. How's everybody doing?
Great.
Feeling good. Actually,
Great
this
that
episode
Max
left
is
me with a
here.
good feeling. Yeah, that's one of the things watching this episode. I actually got a really good feeling because it felt like everybody came together in this episode to like get each other's back. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, let me just jump on that right now. Cirroc, I almost called you Jake. Maybe I need a nap. I almost said Snake earlier. I almost called you Jake now.
Jake the Snake.
When I was watching this episode today, it hit me because when I was a kid and I first watched it, I remember going like, I like lasers and aliens, you know what I mean? And when I was a kid, I was like, okay, it's a cool episode, fine, but I want to see more Dominion War stuff. And then when I watched it later as an adult, I was like, actually, this is a really good episode. And then when I watched it today, I was like, this is the cutest and sweetest and most heartwarming and fun episode of Star Trek ever, period. Close the book. In my opinion, it truly is. I was almost moved to tears by how joyful and beautiful and warm this episode is. Absolutely the most joyful and most heartfelt episode of Star Trek ever, in my opinion.
Wow.
Yeah, I was moved to tears. And not almost, I was moved to tears just because I kept saying over and over again, I love this episode. Yeah. I love this episode.
Yeah.
And every single person has such a shining moment in this episode that is so full of heart and warmth, and even Worf when he's trying to kill everyone.
Death to the opposition. Kill them.
Yes.
And forgive me, Cirroc.
Laughing a lot.
Forgive me, Cirroc and Max, but I kept saying over and over and over again, this is so freaking cute. And I hope that's okay, but I thought it was just the cutest thing I've ever seen. I'm sorry, Cirroc, what were you saying?
Well, there's a lot to unpack there. I will say that I agree with Max's take about it being a Sisko episode, because yes, it is centered around Sisko's love of baseball and how that kind of permeates through Deep Space Nine. But what I really enjoy about it is the camaraderie of the episode. I enjoy the fact that everybody is working together for this common goal which is not to defeat the Dominion or to take over an alien race, but to actually just play a game and have fun. And Max, I thought your performance was fantastic in this episode because of so many little things that you do when you do your ROM performance, your character. You're so deep in the character that I'm like inside your head. I feel like with the thoughts that are in your head, you wear outwardly as Rom, and there's not much there, but you do wear them, and I love them.
Thank you, Cirroc. Thank you.
I love the performance. Yes, it was just so authentic to me, and the fact that everybody didn't know the game of baseball kind of lent itself to me for the story unfolding. Just kind of everyone having to learn, what the game was about and what they were good in or what they weren't good in. I felt that allowed the story to kind of unfold as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Max, this is the rumor that's been flying around for 25 years, that you were basically the best baseball player on the entire team or crew or cast. And so it was impossible for you to make it believable that you weren't good at it. So they made you throw with your left hand, because no matter how you threw it with your right hand, it looked too competent. Is this true?
It was, no, first of all, I wasn't the best baseball player, but I probably played baseball more than anybody else, except, I don't know, Cirroc, did you play baseball growing up?
Very early. I didn't play like high school or college baseball.
Good pitching form.
I moved to the basketball, but I did play baseball. I knew how to pitch and hit, but I just didn't play as heavy as maybe you did, Max. I don't know.
We had a coach in our neighborhood. He played semi-pro ball, and we signed up with the Little League. This is what, I don't know how old I was, like 12, maybe 13. Signed up with the Little League, and we started playing in leagues. Kew Garden Hills Baseball Association it was, and that was the game. Mm-hmm. That was the game where, in the little corner of the area where I grew up, baseball. If you went down another 4 or 5 blocks, you might get basketball, and then somewhere else you might get football. But we played baseball, and we took it very seriously. Of course, our coach took it very seriously, and we in fact we were on the road to Williamsport, I think, is where the Little League World Series is. We had 2 shots at it, and I think the last shot, we were from Queens, New York. We were from, and we had to play the other team, 2 teams representing Queens. Okay, this is going on too long, but you're going to edit this, right? You're going to edit it.
Well, maybe.
No.
I just love that we say, we heard you were really good. He's like, no. Well, let me walk you through my childhood career of going to the World Series. No big deal.
The great thing that happened is we beat the team from the Bronx. That's where our Bear is from, by the way, if he's listening. We beat the team from the Bronx, and then we had to play Far Rockaway for the best team in Queens.
Wow.
We lost to Far Rockaway, but if we had beaten Far Rockaway and one more team along the road, we would have been the World Little League champions.
Wow.
So I was a much better fielder than I was a hitter.
What position?
Well, you know what? I can say that when I was watching you swing that bat, because you swung the bat for that first pitch, and it was a strike, but you're a left-handed batter, right? If I'm not, is that right?
No, I'm a natural righty.
Natural right.
I hit right-handed.
Left-handed in that scene?
Yeah, they were making him do that so that he would not look as good.
No, but the glove thing was my idea. I just put the glove on the opposite hand, and when we were playing catch, when we were warming up, I warned Nana that I wasn't I might not catch so accurately. I said, I said, Nana, you should know I'm wearing my glove on the other hand. And she said, I have no idea what that means. She didn't know why I told her, but that was so baseball was my game, and
one of my biggest laughs was one of my biggest laughs was actually when the ball just hits you in the glove. You guys are playing catch, and it might have been Nana that tossed it to you, and you're just holding your glove, and it's just hits the glove and falls in. What position did you play when you played, Max?
First year I played second base and then third base the next year. I switched off between second and third. So second base and third base. Yeah. I didn't quite have I wanted to play shortstop, but I didn't quite have an arm that could be counted on to do that. Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of not having an arm, that scene where you kept the ball, where you're going in the outfield, you pick the ball up and you throw it, and then you run, pick it up and throw it.
I love that part.
Yeah. I like it when the ball's over his.
Laughing out loud.
There's the shot where the ball's over his head. I got it. Got it. Yeah.
I
So
love
many good
that
laughs.
part. And then it's just
so many moments.
bunk on the ground.
Max, can I ask you?
I don't got it.
When you first,
before we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
I would like to publicly state, is this going on record now? You're recording this, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I played a lot of baseball. I mean, and let me tell you, the kids I played with, my father passed away maybe 1998. Yeah. And the kids I played baseball with were still playing in these older senior leagues. That's how serious. That's how serious they took the game in the neighborhood. So I played a lot of baseball. I have never, ever, ever heard the expression "fancy Dan."
Me neither.
Me neither.
I know what a double play is. I know what a squeeze play is. I know what a bunt is. I know what a grand slam is. I do not. I only know what is this term?
Fancy Dan.
Fancy Dan. I only know Fancy Dan because I've been told, that's in the script. So I didn't argue it.
I never heard of it either, Matt. I never heard of it either. I was, what the hell is a Fancy Dan? I thought they were making it up. I never heard of a Fancy Dan to this day. Now, there's a lot of rules in baseball that I've never heard of, so I will give a little bit of a disclosure on that. There's so many tiny rules in baseball that I just don't know all of the rules. I know that if you touch the umpire, you're out of the game. I know that part.
That was
but
so funny.
I've never heard that before either. And actually, when Bashir gives that line, now that is a Fancy Dan. When he said that, I started laughing too. It's too funny for me.
It is. If you go to Wiki, Fancy Dan, I think it does show up as a play with a lot of flourish. Yeah.
Okay.
But no, I never.
That's maybe just verbiage from the times before me, the Honus Wagner, Babe Ruth eras that I don't know.
Maybe
they made it up as something that happened after our time, like in 2040. But I assumed it was something really old too. It sounds old.
Ryan, that is an excellent hypothesis.
Well,
I have a question.
Sounds old though.
Yeah, you Googled it, Melissa?
No, I had learned Fancy Dan from Deep Space Nine.
Oh, okay.
First time I heard it.
Melissa, nobody ever says it. Nobody.
It looks like it's made up because I'm Googling it and all I'm finding is Memory Alpha, which is the Star Trek Wikipedia.
No.
I think you got to Google baseball Fancy Dan or Fancy Dan baseball. You did.
Yep.
Yeah. It would be a great name for a rock group, an 80s rock group, the Fancy Dan.
Opening for Queen.
They come out doing flips and
that is.
We'll have to ask Ronald D. Moore.
That makes sense. The Fancy Dance. Yeah.
I did want to ask you, Max, actually, about the script, which was when you first saw the script. I know it was in summer of '98, or September of '98. Do you remember your feeling when you first saw it? Do you remember if you thought, hey, this is a great fun episode for Rom? Or do you remember thinking, wow, a baseball script, this ought to be fun? Or do you remember any kind of impressions you had when you first saw it?
To be really honest, when I get a script, and whatever the script is, I think they made a mistake in giving it to me. They got the wrong guy. So I have the script. I read it, and I take the script home with me, and I'm thinking, this will never happen. I will never be involved in this episode. And that is it for every episode. And then as we get closer to doing it, it becomes more and more real for me. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
a very Rom answer.
So when I get the script, when it's all brand new, everybody else will be in it. Cirroc will be in it, and Fancy Dan will be in it. But they'll come up to me and say, "Sorry, we only had room for 9. There's only 9 on a baseball field." So yeah. I don't dare to think how good it can be, or what a gift they're giving me. When they gave me Lita, that was a gift. When they gave me Lita, when Rom and Lita, so to speak, hooked up.
Yeah, Max, you have a tremendous amount of humility, but it's season 7, and we're already fully bought in on the Max Lita Rom storyline, and Nog, and your son Nog being working his way up Starfleet. Like, so you're tied into the script in so many different ways. It's not even funny. Not to mention Quark, your brother. So there's so many ways. But the question I had for you, Max, was, so I looked at while I was watching, and I said, "Oh, my jersey number was 78," and I'm pretty sure that I picked that number because I'm born in 1978, and they probably said, "Which number would you like to have?" So I picked 78. Also picked that Atlanta Braves hat earlier in the episode. But my question to you is, did you pick number 13 for Rom, and if so, why?
No. And when I watched the episode this past week, I saw 13, and I thought, oh, that makes sense for Rom. I just thought it made sense.
Me too. I thought that for Rom. I think it makes sense for Rom.
I don't think they asked me anything about it. The only thing that might have happened, maybe they offered me choices, 3 choices, 13, 33, and 99 or something like that. But I don't even think that happened. I was 13 from the get-go, I think. Yeah. And that was fine with me.
I was fine with it too, because it felt like, oh, the unlucky guy is going to get lucky. The unlucky number, or the myth behind the number 13. So I actually thought it was suitable for the character and the role and the timing of the event. So I like that. And also,
and I also noticed that he got lucky with his bunt at the end. That was so amazing.
But I also noticed that Kira was wearing number 9, and I was like, oh, she kind of does represent what Deep Space Nine is, because of the history of the Bajoran, station, all that stuff. So I just felt like, I don't know, I felt like the numbers themselves were like almost appropriate for each character. I paid attention to that.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with you. Yeah.
Do you remember what numbers Captain Sisko had? Because I didn't pay attention to that.
Wow.
Or Nog?
Yeah, that was the number I didn't take a look at. That was funny, because I was looking at other numbers. Sisko, I did notice that, they had the B Sisko for him and the J Sisko for me, which I thought was cool, just a little bit of a distinguish. But I didn't see his number. I would have wrote it down.
Yeah, I don't know. Wouldn't he be number 1 or no?
Oh. Yeah, that would be the most.
I don't know.
Yes.
9 Sisko.
That would make sense, right?
I remember seeing the B Sisko, but then I didn't look at the number.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, what's cool? Go ahead, Max.
I thought it was Sisko's episode. He's the one who goes through the change. Mm-hmm. He hates this guy, Solok. He hates his guts.
Exactly.
And he's caught up in this hatred. And he knows it's no good. But he kind of can't help it. And I mean, he's a freaking Starfleet captain. And he knows he shouldn't be so, what's the word? He shouldn't waste his time on this Vulcan guy. And I think he learns that between the beginning and the end of the episode. He learns that, and that's the scene in the bar at the end. They're all laughing and whooping it up, and Solok has no idea why they're saying they won. They won. It was 10-1. They lost 10-1. How could a victory be pulled out of that? Well, it's attitude. It's the attitude that these guys that the Niners showed in their play.
Well, and it does, and Rom is instrumental in that lesson for Sisko, because he represents what baseball is. Rom is all heart, and that's what Sisko loves about baseball, and he sees Rom's commitment, whether he's playing or not, to the game and to his family and to the heart of this team. And that's I think what shifts Sisko's perspective from, well, why do I need to give Solok all my attention? These are the people that matter. Rom is the people that matter.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
And I would even go a little bit step farther. I think early on, Sisko was hard on Rom. That moment in that scene was kind of hard to watch because he was really harsh. When Avery wants to get harsh with you, he knows how to make you feel really small and really shuts you down really quickly. I think there was a moment there where he told Nog, he was like, "Is anyone talking to you, Ensign?" He said it. He said it hard.
Like, whoa.
Is anyone talking to you, Cadet? Is anyone talking to you, Cadet? Yeah. Or am I talking to you, Cadet? Yeah.
Yeah. He just belittled him and like shut him down really quickly. And then your character says, I can't play. And he takes that and he says, "Yeah, that's the smartest thing you said all."
Oh, I know. That was
ruthless.
So mean. And he's so hard on you. And to his credit, that's very good acting, because that's just him, showing the obsession that he has with the moment and with with this game. But he really cut you down, and he cut Nog down, and to the point where everybody was going to kind of quit and say, "Hey, if he's going to be like that and act like that to Rom, then I don't even want to play," because it's just too much. He's just being a jerk about it. And I think that moment in the stands when the two of you guys are sitting there and he tells you basically, you're going to get in the game, come on, I'm going to sub you in. I think that's when we learn, or he learns, that it's not whether you win or lose, but how you play the game. Right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is the lesson.
Yeah. That was the moment that I was referring to.
Yes.
You said it.
Yes.
Very.
That's how you play the game. And he saw that he played you to the side. He saw that your dedication was there, that you were cheering on in the stands by yourself. And he realized, you know what? There's more to this game than whether we win or lose. It's going to be about us playing together as a team and celebrating as a team whatever the highs and lows of the moments are. And I felt like that was the lesson of understanding for me. That was the thing I walked away saying, this is such a great episode. It's saying so much without really saying it, but it's just telling you about the value of teamwork. You talked about being on a team. That was one of the big lessons I got from being in team sports was being a good teammate, more than just winning and losing World Series and games and whatever state championships. It's really about the camaraderie and the bond that you have with your teammates, with your coach, for your city, for your franchise, whatever it is, and it's like, that to me is what I really walked away from this episode feeling they captured that very well in this episode. They captured what is the real value of the game.
Definitely.
And you're reminding me, you're making me see right now that what Sisko, the path, the journey that Sisko takes in that episode, he's got everything he wants in terms of Solak. I mean, Solak has no clue and is so frustrated at the end, where he has never been before, because Solak has had Sisko kind of under his, I don't know what the word is. He's been kind of in control of Sisko, but now, without even meaning to, Sisko has changed everything with Solak, because, like you said, it's how you play the game. He learns that lesson. And that's all he needs. That's all he needs to get back at Solak.
They call that Solak is living rent-free in Sisko's head. Also, I want to point out that I too learned that sportsmanship lesson playing golf. Everybody knows that. So that didn't work. The teamwork thing. We should have gone to a break like 5 seconds ago. I'm so sorry. We do have to jump to a break. I know Melissa glossed over so hard there. She's like, where's he going? Hopefully away from here.
I don't get it.
All right. So we got to go to a break. Everybody stick around. We may have a surprise for you on the other side of this. Max, thank you so much for joining us. This is awesome. We really appreciate your time. Everybody else, stick around, and we'll be right back on the 7th Rule. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the 7th Rule with Cirroc Lofton, Max GRODENCHIK, and Malissa Longo, of course.
Yeah.
This is a fun one. My name is Ryan T. Husk. Very quickly, here are the trivioids of the week. Max is going to love these, hopefully. They are: Captain Solak of the starship Tecumseh has arrived on Deep Space Nine. Humans are irked by such precision. Captain Solak received his 2nd Christopher Pike Medal of Valor last month. Nog is a part of the senior staff. We should talk about that. A Fancy Dan is a fielder who puts an extra flourish on his movements while making a play in hopes of gaining the approval of spectators. Apparently established in 2040. Rom and Lita want to try out for the baseball team. Captain Sisko's secret weapon is Jake, the slider. Sisko. Chief O'Brien has a rotator cuff injury. Also my favorite line of the episode. If Captain Solak is taking the time to collect reconnaissance, he must be worried. And Captain Solak wrote 5 papers on his wrestling match with Captain Sisko. All right. Okay, you guys, I totally forgot to mention this. One of the funniest lines in the history of Star Trek, one of the most memorable lines, is when Chief O'Brien is talking to Bashir, teaching him what gum is. And he's like, you just eat it? He's like, no, you chew on it and you infuse it with a flavor. And he goes, what flavor did you infuse it with? Scotch. That is so O'Brien right there.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they don't have any of that Scotch gum at the conventions for people to chew on.
Oh my God, you're right. Selling Scotch gum at conventions.
Gum. That would be
O'Brien's Scotch gum.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
The Sisko kid is going to come up with Scotch gum.
Kira's gum is Ractagino. Nog's is Jumja Stick gum.
Ew. Root beer.
You know, Max, your comedy and timing is just exquisite. Mm-hmm. And that is something that's very difficult for a lot of people. It's not an easy thing for actors to be able to have the kind of comedic timing that you have. It's a rare thing, and it's the reason why there's just only a handful of really good comedy shows on television. It's because that comedic timing is very difficult to have. And Max, I think that you have a very amazing grasp on delivery, how and when to throw certain lines away, or what emphasis to put on certain words when you do give lines. to your credit. And so I wanted to say that one of my favorite lines in this episode was when Quark is in the infirmary getting the surgery done on the back of his head. And I think he says to you something to the effect of, so what did you learn? And you said, always look behind you when swinging a bat.
Because it was such an honest response.
Yes.
Said it so earnestly.
The way you say it, just the way you say it. Anybody could have said it, but it's the way you say it. And I just busted out laughing like, yeah, you might want to do that. And of all people, work in the back of the head.
Cirroc, thank you. Thank you for the kind words. Wow. I knew I stayed the extra half hour for a reason. Yeah, that was very nice to hear.
Yeah, along those lines.
Yeah, right?
Along those lines, I just realized, but Rom is the character above everybody else in which we can see what he's thinking. Max, the way you played Rom is we can see the thoughts going in your head. We see what he's thinking. Even when he's being calculated, we can see the calculations going on in his head. And I wonder, it makes me feel like, were you an improv actor initially? Did you take a lot of improv classes? Because it seems like you really know how to convey your character's thought process.
Funnily enough, I was fired from improv class.
Of course.
It's true. It's a true story. And I forget the actor's name. He was running this class, and he's a very nice guy and very good actor. He did a lot on the Ellen show, Ellen DeGeneres' show he was on. But we all took a class with him, maybe 12 weeks or so. And then he would say who he feels is qualified to go on to the second level. And he came to me and he said, "I'm so sorry, I can't move you up." I said, "But you seem to like what I was doing in class." He said, "Yeah." He said, "But that's acting. We're looking for improv people." He made a distinction between me as an actor and me as a decent actor and me as a crummy improv artist. So,
that's I don't know. That seems counterintuitive.
That's subjective.
Yeah,
that's also subjective.
Because there's so much improv that goes into acting. You can rehearse something a lot in a certain way, but then something in your head changes, and you might change a movement or add a I don't know, a nod.
Where does the line end where does one line end and one begin?
Yeah. But in his defense, there's a certain fear of, if I'm acting, I got the script, I got lines to consider, and I have something to lean on.
Mm-hmm.
But in the improv, I don't. You don't. There's no lines. There's no script, or very minimal. So I think from that point of view, he was right. I had a fear of jumping in. I think that would have been something he might have said. You have a fear of jumping in. You got to just jump. And I think Aron Eisenberg, whom you know, I think Aron Eisenberg was very, very interested in the jumping in part. I don't know if you ever discussed it with him.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he
Yes.
Yeah.
He was very he liked improv theater. I know that.
Oh yeah.
So and is he? Can I say hello to him? Because since we're all gathered here, he must be around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Another person that I thought did a fantastic job in this episode was Avery Brooks. I thought that he really set a lot of the tone for this episode.
Yep.
And there were moments when he showed levity. He showed real passion for the game. And he does subtle things improv-wise that I feel like are not scripted. There were, for example, there was a scene of us, Jake and Benjamin are running up to the mound, and he's throwing the ball to me. I think he throws the ball behind his back. I catch it,
and you catch it, and you catch it overhand. I was like, double skill right there, showing off.
Right. And so, and there's that little. So that's a little playful thing that I'm sure he just makes up on the spot. He's like, "Hey, we're going to run over there, and I'm going to throw this ball to you," but he'll do it behind his back, and this kind of playfulness. It reminded me of. And this is for the basketball side note for the basketball nerds.
I'm listening.
When LeBron James and Russell Westbrook start the game, LeBron does like a football hike to Russell Westbrook in like a playful kind of way to start the game. So that little playfulness I felt came across. Also, another thing I want to point out, Sisko reminds me a lot like Dusty Baker. And I had a conversation with Avery about his preparation for this and, where some of the inspiration for the things he did in this episode. And Dusty Baker is the person who he had in the back of his mind as far as emulating when it came to the toothpick in his mouth.
Yes, I noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah.
When it came to him wearing the San Francisco Giants hat that he wore early on, Dusty Baker was the longtime.
Melissa was asking about this shirt. This is a San Francisco Giants secret shirt. If you know, it says even year in giant letters to everybody listening in. Even year. Sorry.
All I saw was the even.
Oh yeah, so that's a giant shirt.
Even year, baby. But that's so cool. Year. Dusty Baker is a legend as a player and as a manager. I did not realize, but I made the connection just seeing it. It reminded me of him, but I didn't realize that he had done that deliberately.
Yes, he's a fan of the game. Avery's a big fan of the sport, and he's also a fan of Dusty Baker. And he wanted to pay a small homage to him and his style. And if you notice, even when he starts going hard on people, and for example, there was a moment there with me where he says, "I say, wow, they're pretty good," and he's like, "Pretty good. Stop admiring them.
And strike them out.
And then he kind of pushes me. He does a push on me. And I don't know if, Ryan, you were going to talk about that, but he pushes me in the chest pretty hard.
I played it back twice because I was like, whoa, that's I wondered if that's another. And by the way, just to jump on your thing, I do think it seems like Avery is the actor that improvised the most out of everybody on the show, but I was wondering if that was also improvised, because that was
an improvised moment. And if you catch the tail end of my face, I'm looking at him like, whoa, like you're serious about this, huh? I'm out of frame, so I'm kind of like just into this right here, but you can see me looking like, whoa, that was
a little side eye, like this is what we're doing.
Side eye, yeah, so we're going that hard, okay. But yeah, he did a fantastic job, and I really liked the speech that he had with Cassidy when the two of them were alone, and he kind of confided in her all of the backstory between him and this Vulcan. But in that moment, he did something, because he did that whole speech with a baseball bat in his hand, which is like, just from the perspective of being on edge, I thought that was a great choice for him as an actor, because it's like at any moment he could just swing that bat around. You could feel it. He was playing with it. He was looking down the barrel of it.
Yes, like I love that
shotgun or something.
That moment,
and he really played this bat, this prop that he was holding, but used it in his performance. He had it down on the floor, really like the cane almost. He played with it like this. He flipped it around a few times, and just he was using the bat. And even Cassidy in that moment says, "Okay, it feels like you're about to break something up in here, and go ahead if you're going to. It's your place." So there was a lot of tension in that scene, which I think he manufactured by having that bat and playing it the way he did. And then he kind of hit himself in the chest with it at one point and said, "My game."
Yes.
Like he's trying to challenge me in my game. This is what I do, And so I thought that was a great performance by Sisko, showing kind of how he's on the verge of losing control and being too emotional about whatever past experience he had with this Vulcan captain. But I thought I thought he did a fantastic job throughout the episode of kind of showing his obsessions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I also noticed a moment in the beginning on the field between Jake and Nog where you guys are throwing the baseball back and forth.
Yes.
And it felt like this is something that you two had done before. It was it was a quick moment, but it set a tone for your relationship, which was really nice to see. I was like, that's so good.
Yeah,
I remember filming this day, and I wanted to ask Max, what do you remember about being out? Because we were always on the set for the most part. We're on the set, or we're in the desert in a cave somewhere. But
Loyola
very
Marymount,
rare,
right?
Yeah, right. It was at Loyola Marymount, but it's very rare that we're on a baseball field. So I remember having one of the funnest experiences filming this episode because of the fact that we're on a baseball field. What do you remember about it?
Wow. Well, once I got the job, I didn't think they were going to kick me out at that point. But really, honestly, it was like the 4th episode of the 7th season.
Yeah.
I could feel the show ending. I mean, it had a ways to go, but this is the last season. We all knew that 7 was the magic number, was going to be the last season.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this today. So I started, I had never collected anything, any props or anything like that. But I started to consciously take my, when I took my nose cheek piece off, I started consciously to wrap it up and put it in one of my suitcases and take it home with me so that I would have a collection of them at the end of the season. It's probably not at all what you wanted to hear, but I thought of it was the end. It was the end, especially being on a baseball field. What a great ending for someone like me who loves baseball. There's a Robert Redford. What is the baseball movie he did? I forget the name of it. But he's just lying there at one point. He says, "God, I love baseball." I said, "Yes, yes," and so maybe there's some connection between my love of baseball and the love for the show I was a part of for 7 seasons, and I had to come to grips with that somehow. I was losing it. It was going away. It was going away. And that's when it became. That's when it became real.
Yes.
Much realer for me. That episode number 4 in the 7th season. I think it is. Anyway, sorry. Yeah. Yes.
It is number 4 out of 7 on the 7th season. I wasn't thinking, I don't think at this time to collect things, because if I would have collected the baseball jersey, which had my name on it and my birthday on the back. So that would have been like a no-brainer for me to take that.
Oh no, you had the Braves hat.
I don't know what happened to those. I don't know.
I don't know what happened to that either. I don't know. I would have liked taking it.
Yeah.
And that would have been a great gift for all of us at the wrap party.
Yes.
I would have loved to accept that. The uniforms for all of us with our names on it would have been a cool gift. But nonetheless, I remember just being outdoors, having fun, lunchtime, throwing the ball around with the crew and everybody kind of just playing pop flies and, catching in the outfield and all that kind of fun stuff. So I have good memories of that, filming the episode, But I did there were so many very good moments there. Worf also had his moments in this episode. And when Nog's like, what do I do? Worf says, find him and kill him.
That's our Worf.
And
that plays into what Malissa was saying initially, which I felt very strongly as well. Everybody got their moment. And that's not easy to do in a cast of 12 or 13. everybody had their moment, and everybody seemed they really put in a lot of thought, the writers, into where they put the players positionally. Like Nog, when I saw he was a catcher, I'm like, of course he's the catcher. That fits. That's perfect. Esri doing her backflip in center field. Of course, that's great. You know, like O'Brien being first base coach and all that. I'm like, yes, these are all the things that a baseball player. I'm like, this is the perfect marriage of sport and Star Trek. It's just the best, and everybody got their moment, like you said, Malissa, and I love that about this episode.
Everybody got their moment. I wanted to talk about Cassidy's moment. I thought she had a great moment when Sisko said, "Tell me something I don't know," and she's like, "Well, you're lifting your foot up at the plate." You know, so I think it was a great little exchange between them. It was like, wow, I didn't expect that. Yeah. What do you mean I'm lifting my foot up at the plate? The beautiful thing, Odo practicing to be an umpire.
Oh my gosh.
Strike,
that was
you're out. You're out.
Cutest thing.
It was.
He
so
was
cute.
Wasn't he fabulous?
He was
so
amazing.
Good.
Yes.
You're out. You're out.
Strike. He was literally moving his body. You could tell he really was working on it.
Yes.
And even when he was reciting, you know, the rule that you don't touch the Empire. And his accent
when he recites the rule and he says, look it up, but do it from the stands. You're beautifully delivered.
It's like he's watched a lot of baseball.
Yes, he did. He must have, huh? Yeah.
So good.
Love that moment. There were so many good moments. Even when Quark says, "What time are the tryouts?" I like that moment. It was a small little segment, but you could tell he had felt challenged, right? He's like, everybody's coming in here, and he's like, you know what time are the tryouts? I'm not going to be upstaged by any one of these guys.
You know, I thought
also showed his affinity for the crew. Yeah. He might be, you know, this, you know, underhanded on the surface, but he loves the crew of Deep Space Nine.
You know, he
loves his family.
He also had a really good moment that I liked, and it was very short and very minor, but it was one of those things in television and movies that just bumps up the enjoyment for you. And that was when, I believe it was when Esri did her backflip catch. And, you know, it shows different reactions of people, 2 or 3 people, you know, Bashir says, now that's a fancy Dan, or what, you know, but then, but Quark goes, yeah, or something like that.
Yes,
and that's one of those things that just ups it, where you're like, wow, even Quark is getting into it. And that just shows it just moved up to an 11 now, you know? Great
so
moment.
Cute. So cute. Everyone was cute in this episode. It's like, oh, you're so cute. You're so cute. And you're so cute.
Even Solok.
When O'Brien's throwing to Quark, who has a pretty good arm, by the way. I noticed O'Brien throwing to Quark. He's like, come on, Quark. And then when Esri's like,
Jake had
on,
good
Julian.
form too, I noticed. You know, we were looking closely. We're like, all right, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And by the way, let me just say, it's okay to lift up your leg in your backswing. Like, it works for some people. Just saying.
I know a few people that do that. Kirby Puckett was one of them.
Yeah, Twins.
That from the Minnesota Twins. Anyway, so you know, you get that sometimes. Everybody has a different kind of form, but I just love the camaraderie. I love the fact that it was great to see. First of all, shout out to Ronald Moore for really constructing this very well-written episode. I thought the flow of it, the pace, you would think, you know, trying to introduce an entire sport to a whole group of people that never even heard of it would take a lot more, you know, and then a complicated sport, you know, it's not that easy. But it was just fun. Watching it unfold was so fun. Yeah. So I thought Ronald Moore did a great job. But one of the things also was Chip Chalmers, which is a you know, I thought he did a great job because, it's not easy to film an outdoor scene. You have people in the stands, so you have a lot of extras there for that. You have to not show certain things when you're on the Loyola campus. So I'm sure there's angles that he cannot show. And so for me, I felt like he did a good job of making it feel like we were still in a Holosuite. And also keeping, I like some of the decisions that he did as far as editing and the whole flow and pace of the episode, but particularly the last shot of the spinning autographed baseball in the air.
Yeah.
I just like that choice.
Nice. Iconic.
And it almost I felt like it gave when you have the opening credits, it almost gave the credits of the episode through the flow.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, that's great.
Can I just add something? Thanks for reminding me that when you see Quark's signature, he adds the ears. Everybody go back and watch that. When you see Quark's name, he added little ears to the Q. And I happen to know, as you all know, that when Armin Shimmerman signs his name, he adds the Ferengi ears as well to the big A in Armin Shimmerman. And I remember always when he would do that, and I saw that, I was like, wow, he's got the longest name in Star Trek practically, yet he still takes the time to add to it in the millions of autographs he has to do. And they just showed me what a wonderful human. When I sign things, it's just a squiggle. And this guy has the longest name, and he adds ears on top of that just to make sure everybody gets a little personal touch. And when I saw the Quark on the baseball with the ears, I was like, wow, that's got to be, where he got it. He did it that one time and then stuck with it. I just thought it was a beautiful thing to see.
Special moments like that.
Chip Chalmers also, is that how you say his name?
He has a baseball player name.
Totally.
Over there.
Chip Chalmers.
He also directed Magnificent Ferengi. So was it a different approach? Did you notice a different approach from his directing style in this episode from that one?
I didn't. There's Cirroc.
No, I don't think directors have different approaches. I think that the material and the script itself calls for, it just kind of makes the approach kind of self-evident. You're like, okay, well, I have to get this material covered, and how am I going to do it? And the approaches are pretty standard for the directors based on just a certain finite number of shots that they can accomplish with different lenses and whatnot. So it's not so much approach-wise, but I do feel like Chip is an actor's kind of friendly guy. So I do remember him being. He's a personable guy. He's not closed. And I think he's also
a fan of baseball. Oh, you went silent.
Well, you just got muted, Cirroc. What did you say? There. What was the last sentence you said? Sorry. We lost you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine, Max. We just missed Cirroc's last sentence.
No, sorry. Are you there?
Yeah, we just missed your last sentence only.
No, I was just saying that I think Chip was a fan of baseball. And as we know, Ira's a big fan of baseball. So I think that Chip may have been brought in also because of some of his baseball knowledge. Don't quote me on that.
Chip Chalmers directed my very first Star Trek episode, January of 1990. Captain's Holiday, Next Generation.
Yes, Captain's Holiday.
So
that was a great one.
Yeah.
Always nice to have worked with the director. Although on our show, the directors float around. So I don't. Yeah, Rick Colby and all those guys. They come back to us again and again, which is nice. It's a nice thing.
So we've just got less than a minute left. But Cirroc, I'm glad you mentioned Ira Eisenberg. That's part of the reason why I was scared to wear this shirt, because I know he's a big Dodgers fan. So it's like, I don't want to draw his ire.
Don't worry,
he's on Team Cirroc hard right now for sure. But I do want to point out very quickly, Max, you reminded me of one of my favorite moments ever at any Star Trek convention ever. It was a Star Trek Las Vegas many years back. Ira Eisenberg was up there, and it was right after Michael Piller passed away. And I remember he said, at the end of it, he said, everybody in the audience, if we all just say, hey, Michael Piller, hopefully he'll hear us, something to that effect. And it was at the end, and he just said, so at the count of 3, we'll all say it. And we did. And it was just like this beautiful moment. And Max, when you said hi to Aron, it reminded me of that. And I think that was just such a nice sentiment, that since we're all here, that you said, of course he's here. He's here hanging out. And we talk about him every day, and we talk about you very often. We really, really appreciate you joining us, Max, all the way out from Austria, where who knows what time it is over there.
I don't know.
But thank you so much, Max. We really, really appreciate you and your skill and the time that you took to join us today.
Well, thank you for making this much easier than I thought it would be. I mean, not easy, but easier. Thank you. Thank you. It's good to see you. Good to see you all.
It's always a pleasure.
All right, everybody. We're just going to keep talking about Max forever, even after we stop recording. And thank you so much, Max. Everybody stick around for the free-for-all. That is up next, and we'll see you on the other side. Until then, oh, wait. I was going to say always remember the 7th rule, but also always remember to give a very special thank you to Homer Frizzell out in Walter Koenig's former apartment building in New York. Dr. Anne, if he wants it, he demands it. He demands that we say that. Dr. Anne-Marie Siegel in Manhattan. Eve England. Actually, you know Homer, Max. Eve England out in Wales. Yvette Blackman. Carmen, a.k.a. Skillet. Tim Baum, a.k.a., of course, Grandpa One and Bubbles. TJ
Bubbles.
Jackson Bay out in Missouri. Bill Victor Arukin. He's an A's fan, by the way. Oakland A's. Titus Muller. Darlena Marie. John Mann. Dr. Muhammad Noor. Tierney C. Diekman. Anna Post. Rex A. Wood. Anil O. Palat. Erica Strom, Joe Balsarati, Mike Gu, Dr. Stephanie Baker, DQ, Neil Akasaka, Justine Norton Kurtzen, and of course, the eloquent Dr. Susan V. Gruner. Thank you all so much. Melissa was acting out the eloquence when I was saying it. We'll see you all on the other side on the free-for-all. And until then, always remember the 7th rule. Hey everybody, welcome back to the free-for-all. Homer was just razzing all of us because he's a razzmatazz. Also, very quick shout out to Casey Shafsky, who was the production manager and co-producer of Star Trek Continues. He got me this shirt that Homer was razzing me about. Anyway, we are here, of course. Cirroc Lofton is here, the superstar of superstars. Malissa Longo is here, the warmth of warmth. We also have Eve England out in Wales. We have Tierney C. Diekman, a.k.a. Zborg Queen. Sounds Swedish. We have Homer Freezy out somewhere in New Yeezy, because that is totally a baseball name, Homer. We have Anil O. Palat in Asia Minor. We have Dr. Susan V. Gruner here
Death to the opposition!
Yes!
Destroy them!
Let's tend them to death.
We have Gorn to be wild, the party Gorn himself, TJ Jackson Bay out in Missouri. We also have the third person here wearing an awesome Niners hat. He's also wearing a cool VTC Chat Pack shirt. Goldu Scott, everybody. Man, what a dream team today.
And I'm wearing a cool baseball bracelet that you probably can't see.
What is it?
But
Oh, yeah.
That is
Baseball
cool.
stitches.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, let's have some fun and talk about this episode. This is just such, we were just, I couldn't, I was beside myself with how much I love this episode. Oh, first things first, Jake, the slider Sisko guesses the IMDb score.
Ooh. This is great. I'm gonna give it a 9. That's how much I liked it. It's like an 8.9. That's where I'm gonna go.
Anybody? Sue knows what it is. That's why she's.
What does Sue think? What does Sue think?
She knows.
Yeah, I looked and
I looked as well.
Does anybody have any guesses that didn't?
I would have said it was like a low 9 point something, but doesn't sound like it was.
I would guess an 8.1.
Wow.
8.2.
You guys
I was going to say 8.
Anybody?
8, but no, I don't think so.
Anybody going to say $1? All right.
TJ's line.
All right. This is the source of Sue's rage. It is a 7.4. You guys.
Outrageous.
Highway robbery.
Outrageous.
Travesty.
And
take him out and kill him.
Well, anyone who hasn't voted yet that's watching this should. Let's fix that.
That felt like a Jerry Springer reaction. I wish we just got a clip, that like 7-second clip of everybody go, "What? Oh, outrageous, despicable! I hate them."
Throwing a chair. Yeah.
You have the power.
That is just.
These people don't know what good TV is.
This is probably, of all of the low voted and rated episodes, is this the one that's the furthest off?
So far off.
So
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it's pretty off.
Mm.
Pretty off.
It's like an iconic episode.
Average, or
yeah. I wonder if people just like watched it once and were like, "What's a baseball episode?" Or I don't like sports. People maybe that don't like sports, but they don't get. Maybe I don't know, because I know I liked it better after the first time I saw it.
Yeah, it's an acquired taste.
Mm-hmm. All right. Speaking of acquired taste,
spaceships.
Dr. Susan V. Gruner, what did you think of this episode?
Oh, that was cool.
Well, first of all, it's a freaking 10. I loved it. I loved it. The writers know the characters so well. There's just such a depth, every little detail.
Mm-hmm.
I have these things like the font on the back of the uniforms is the Star Trek font. I love the names that the Vulcans gave their team, the
brilliant.
I mean, that's just so perfect. I love, of course, the Worf quotes are, you can't get any better than that. I just loved everything about it. I love the way Sisko reacts. I love everything. Every little detail was great. And I read all the stuff about how Max GRODENCHIK had to play left-handed because he could actually play baseball, and they wanted him to look like he didn't know anything. Awesome. And Cirroc, did you do your own stunts?
Did I have any stunts? Really? I just was pitching.
You had to dive into. Was that you?
That was Aaron.
That was
Aaron.
Aaron, yeah.
Kira did too. Nana did too.
Yeah,
and
she did.
And Sisko did a diving catch, but that couldn't have been. Oh, we forgot to ask Max if he did his stunt when he did the twirly bird and fall down swing. Remember?
Yeah.
It looked like him.
It looks like him.
The twirly bird.
The twirly bird special.
Oh, was that you really pitching too? Because it was from the rear that showed you from the front and then from the back after the ball was thrown.
Well, yeah, I was pitching. I don't know if that's me in all of the shots. Some of the back shots, I was trying to see if that was me, because I wasn't sure if it was me from the back when they cut from the back, but from the front it was me. But I mean, I can pitch, but after you film for a while and you're pitching for a long time, you can't. Yeah.
It didn't look like you were bringing the heat.
I wasn't bringing the heat. No.
Typical Yankees fan.
No, it's okay. He's a crafty righty.
No, it was too much. After a while, winding up and throwing that ball, trying to get a fastball over home plate. That's why they only let pitchers pitch so many pitches before they pull them, because
Right.
if you do that 2 or 3 days in a row, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be getting surgery like Quark in this episode.
And who was it? O'Brien that was getting the rotator cuff surgery. Mm-hmm. That's legit. That's baseball talk right there, man.
Yeah.
Speaking of baseball talk, cricket's #1 fan, Eve England, out in Wales, is wearing an awesome brand new isolinear chip shirt. Look at that. Gorgeous. Amazing. Beautiful. It says the 7th rule on it in the isolinear chip. And if you'll notice the number there, 010669. Anybody know what that is?
It's Aaron's birthday.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Wow.
Love it. We snuck that one in there. All right. So, Eve, what do you think about this episode? Did you love it or what?
Yeah, I did, and it's just got such a warm and fuzzy feeling when you watch it. It's just everything about it is just really well constructed. It's the music. I particularly noticed the music this time watching it, and how they had all the different motifs and different themes at different parts were sort of just added to the flavor, and that they were doing something different. And I love the fact that we got to hear the Federation anthem as well. I thought that was really cool. So I'm not sure how many times, whether they've done that before or whether that's kind of a new thing. But I was going to say that I think the Worf quotes, I was just literally laughing out loud when the only things he said in this episode was something to do with trying to kill someone, which was just hilarious. I just took it way too seriously. But I think the thing I took out from this, which is just fab. But I think the main takeaway for me from this episode is that the way that Sisko and Captain Solak were behaving is the perfect example of why they banned sport, because they were just behaving abysmally for Starfleet officers. And I just thought it was just really funny when you're just seeing these really well-established characters just acting like juvenile. I was talking with James, and we just thought, this is why they banned sport.
Oh no.
Oh, we lost you, Eve.
Yeah, we lost you for a second there, Eve, but you said that you and James were saying that's why they banned sports, right?
Yes.
I mean, I didn't notice any different behavior. It seemed normal to me.
I thought Avery just did a really good job. The acting in it, you could just tell he was so riled up the whole time, and it was just such a different Sisko to what we normally see, and I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah. Speaking of brilliant, everybody, baseball #1 fan, Homer Frizzell, out in New York, wearing an awesome Deep Space Nine hat, wearing a glorious New York Yankees jersey, if the Yankees were glorious. What do you think about this episode?
So this episode is a lot of fun. I do think maybe they spent a little bit too much time on the infield fly rule. I think they could have dispensed with that and not worried about it. Focused on the bunt stuff maybe a bit more, but we would have lost out on some of the humor. My observation and why kind of I'm wearing this particular jersey is, one, it kind of goes with the hat. Two, I think that O'Brien was at third base because someone was like, where are we going to put all these people? And they said, maybe he resembles this guy who played third baseman for the Yankees in the 70s and 80s. And that's Greg Nettles. So I feel like that resemblance put him at the hot corner, I think.
Greg Nettles?
Yeah,
Greg Nettles.
New to me.
GRAIG. Yeah. So you can look him up. You can share a picture if you'd like, what have you. But I know that there's been some, and Eve, apologies if I'm stealing any companion stuff here, but the reason that there have been some errors spotted as it relates to uniforms and such is just because of the way that they had to shoot this thing. And Cirroc, you can join in here. It looks as though they would do maybe first base one day, second base another day. And then they also had the different types of uniforms. They had fancy workout uniforms, and then they had the actual game day uniforms as well. And then just trying to get it so that the names and everything matched up and that people are wearing clean clothes had to be a major, major undertaking.
Yeah, kind of does look a little chiefy.
Kind of.
Yeah.
A little bit.
A little bit.
He infuses his gum with scotch. This guy for sure.
He does. Yeah. Yeah, I did appreciate that.
That's gross.
Way to throw that in there, Homer.
And then I'll also say that coincidentally, yesterday I played softball in Central Park and I was pitching. So I was thinking about this review that was coming up today as well. So it was neat to have those two things happen so close together.
What's your favorite pitch?
Well, it was slow pitch, and it was just anyone that they didn't let go by. They were really picky.
Yeah.
My favorite pitch is a strike.
Yeah, I thought they were all strikes except for the ones where I said sorry because I almost hit them.
Wouldn't it be great if Max, as Rom said, his favorite pitch was a strike too, because he's a union man?
Yeah, that would be great. I appreciate that one, but I'm not going to give you the satisfaction.
You just did. Just gave him the satisfaction.
Not extreme satisfaction.
Speaking of extreme satisfaction, everybody.
There we go. Nice segue.
Anil is here all the way from Turkey. Anil, how much did you love this episode? Have you watched it recently? Did you like it more recently than you did when you first saw it, or what's going on there?
I think I like it more every time I see it. It just gets better and better. And Worf cracks me up. Like every time I've seen this probably 100 times, and every time he makes me laugh. There's so many good comedic moments. Like at the very end when Sisko's like telling Quark, just put it on my tab, and he's like, "I'm way ahead of you." I don't know why. It's like so great. And the direction too was really good. I noticed it this time, so I had to look up the director. And I love the way that someone's speaking, and then the next scene, somebody else is carrying on the sentence, and it really just flowed. Even when Kira walks by Odo's office and he's doing like, strike or out or whatever it is, it just rolls so perfectly. And then the last thing I'll say is that it has something by the writer Ron Moore that he does in a lot of his episodes. And my favorite episode, which is coming up very soon, where he like puts in like a little, like a nugget in the very beginning, and you think it's just like a throwaway line, and it comes back at the very end, and that was the bunt. And I just loved it. I'm a sucker for that, so I loved it. Yeah, it's great.
Good knowledge. Anil, was there anything that you grew to appreciate more upon later viewings of it that you maybe didn't notice or appreciate the first time you saw it?
Yeah, everybody's energy. Like, Sisko is super riled up. He's so riled up that he hits Jake when they're in the dugout. Like, Cirroc, like you almost went out of the frame. It was hilarious.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, it's so much fun. Like everybody's like, you can just see it on their faces. It's like infectious. It seems like everybody was having a blast. And then as a viewer, we're just like, this is awesome. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, Cirroc definitely said Cirroc even, and we're gonna have to go back and watch this, but Cirroc was even saying that like when he hit him, like he could see Jake Sisko's reaction of like, "Whoa, man, why did you hit me so hard?" Anyway, speaking of awesome, we have Tierney C. Diekman here, also wearing one of the coolest. I was going to say one of the coolest Deep Space Nine hats, as well as Goldu Scott and Homer Frizzell. She's wearing the Deep Space Nine Niners hats. That's awesome. And she's also wearing the Isolinear Chip 7th Rule sporting Aron Eisenberg's birthday. How are you today? And how much did you love this episode?
I am fabulous today, and I love this episode. I'll definitely admit, way back when, it wasn't my favorite. It was very humorous, but I mean, you could fit what I know about baseball on like half of a Post-it note. It's very small. Good like family memories of going to see the White Sox, and you pop through and you see when they're actually hitting, and then you go and you get your next brat or candy apple or something to eat, and it's slow moving, but it's enjoyable, and that's about all I know about baseball. So I would, time to spend time with family, etc., and that was about it. So the baseball stuff would just kind of go right over my head. I didn't have as much appreciation. The more I've watched it through the years, I have grown to love the hell out of this episode. It almost kind of feels like a semi-lost Ferengi episode. Like, do you know what I mean? I know
Chip Chalmers did The Magnificent Ferengi, and Max said that Chip Chalmers also directed his first episode from The Next Generation, Captain's Holiday. So maybe there's a Ferengi connection there. Yeah.
Yeah, it always feels like it's kind of a Ferengi episode, which is great, especially with Max GRODENCHIK being such a great player and having to play left-handed, and he gets his little underdog moment for the episode without it being the cliche of, they're not going to win, but somehow the team makes it through. Like, they let them fail, they let them lose and have their manufactured triumph with the Vulcan who methinks doth Romulan a little too much. He's got that Vulcan's got some attitude, but it's great. It almost it almost makes me wonder, like, there's always been that thing in DS9 where we've got Klingons too, which have how much strength and agility more so than humans, and yet when they board the station, we've got Sisko just beating the hell out of them. And it's like, if you tried that with a Vulcan, maybe he just kept working at it, and that's how he can build up his strength for Vulcans, and that's how he can beat the crap out of Klingons. And then we've got Worf in this. One thing I would have loved to have seen was Worf just like hit a home run, just ridiculous, like cosmic home run, is way the hell out of the park. But you've got, of course, his horror, this just like death humor, Scotch gum, and it's one of those that is almost quintessential Star Trek in a weird way of like, we know these characters so well, and this world, this universe is so homey to us that we can do this with them. We can put them in an alien baseball game and enjoy it and find so much heart from it and love it. And I feel watching this, it's more real. I don't know if you feel it, Cirroc, or felt it at the time. It feels like a real glimpse of your and Avery's relationship, watching you guys out there and watching you play. And it's just so damn heartwarming. And I love it. And you get to the end and you crack up and you can't skip it anymore. Always watch it. Always love it. I've watched it twice in the past couple of days. It's lovable. I've been so looking forward to doing this episode, hence the hat and everything. I planned for it. It's great. I love it. I'll never not love it, and I'll never not recommend watching it. Every series needs a baseball episode, and this is the one to go off of. Yes. Manufactured Triumph.
Yes, Manufactured Triumph.
The Manufactured Triumph.
Manufactured Triumph.
Here.
It did seem, Tierney, like what you're saying, that like, Cirroc and Avery had their playfulness. You also saw Cirroc and Aron. It felt like the vibe of the episode was reflected in what was probably clearly the vibe of production on those days. People were out having fun. They're actually outside on a beautiful day. It's the 7th season. They know each other. They can finally, let their hair down for a minute, rather than being in the stages and in buildings. It must have just been like a happier moment, and everybody's got like their real life camaraderie and chemistry shown in this episode.
Okay. And there was one more note that I had was the Ferengi family. Oh my God. With Aron
Melissa's showing it.
And Chase and Max, they're all just they're so adorable. And even though Sisko he needs to win this, so Rom's not having his best day and he pushes him out. As someone who is in competitive athletics, I get it, but then they're just like, but this is a game. This is about family and being outside and love and, to Cork, you have to have heart, and you sold yours a long time ago. Like, you definitely see that, and it does feel like a Lost Ferengi episode, and they're so good. They're so good. Aaron's great. I love him. Just, which one is it? And he goes and just tags all of them.
Yes. That was great. We hadn't covered that. This is an episode that we could cover for like 3 hours, I think, because there's just so many golden moments.
Yeah.
I put the word "ha" like 50 times in my notes. There's so many great moments and lines. Speaking of great moments and lines, TJ Jackson Bay is also here, all the way from Missouri. TJ wearing his amazing Gorn to Be Wild shirt made by Walking Art, made by Melissa.com, which was probably Malissa Longo there. TJ, what do you think of this glorious episode?
It is amazing. It's a 10, just like Sue said. And it actually has a kind of loose Gorn connection. If you remember, I think a few episodes back, Cassidy and Sisko are talking about Cestus 3, where they're basically when they play baseball there.
Right next to. Yeah.
For baseball too, so a little connection.
Good knowledge.
Good knowledge. A few moments that I loved was one, Cassidy getting the story out of Sisko, and then the immediate next scene is her, right after she promises not to tell him. That needed to happen. They did need to know that.
Wife move right there.
I love the Sisko Rum, making up the kind of apology, hey, I got out of hand or whatever. And I love that, the whole crew actually kind of loosened up in the end when they didn't win, but they still won. They manufactured the triumph. And I love the Vulcan names on the back of the uniforms. That was, pretty neat to see Vulcan script on the base of the back of the uniform. I like Jake's Atlanta hat. From like, I don't know how young up into probably my, 20s, early 30s, you probably would not have seen me without an Atlanta Braves hat on. Like, it was like a part of my head, like now my
Wow, that's great.
So right on with that one. I actually like Captain Solok. I think it's funny that he, has like this need to continue to prove himself against Captain Sisko, but he does it, with like this super calm Vulcan way. But we know that he's not fooling anybody. He's just like anybody else. And I love how frustrated he gets at the end, and he's like, hey, this is human taunting, and they immediately come back, and Ezri's like, hey, what, did I leave my spots in my quarters, or
I love that.
He doesn't know what a human looks like. Frustration because he knows he's stepping in. Like he may have won the game, but he lost the day for sure.
Yeah.
And like I can give my props to Ezri for the flip catch on the wall. That was pretty awesome. Ezri moment. It's also nice to see, Ezri be this involved in something with the rest of the crew, that she's just kind of getting familiar with. I wish they maybe told a little bit more of that story if I had to have a slight nitpick, but not really a nitpick. Great episode. I loved it. It's just like everybody else said, it grows on me every time I watch it. Not that it needed to, because I loved it from the start. It was always fun. And it's just as fun now as it was the first time I watched it.
That's true that Ezri was a little bit less in this than most of the other characters, but that's probably because she had 2 big episodes right before that. And she told us, Nikki, that she actually did that backflip stunt, which was pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I don't. She didn't say that. But I did notice. Did you guys notice that Nana and Chase actually did lift up Max GRODENCHIK?
Yeah,
I saw that.
That was pretty badass.
That was pretty great.
I was surprised that nobody was more shocked when Esri did that, like, superhuman
a Power Ranger flip.
So cool.
Everybody was like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, nice play." I'm like,
now
"Nice
I want
play."
her on my team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, where did she get that from? She's a psychologist.
Emily.
Emily.
Yeah, one of her prior posts was a gymnast, an Olympic gymnast.
Right.
Yeah, but that's memory. That's not muscle memory.
No, your body would break.
Yeah.
Well, you tell that to the lady that just flipped off the wall.
Yeah.
The lady that was clearly a male's front double.
And when adrenaline is pumping through you, you're capable of almost anything. So if she's got that memory that she knows how to do,
she's going to be so sore the next day.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Cirroc, were you going to say something that you remember doing way back in the day that you tried to do recently?
No, I didn't. Wasn't going to say any of that. But I was going to say though that I would think that Worf would be a better baseball player because I would think that the bat lift training that he has would be able to translate to baseball.
And so not just he grew up on Earth.
Yeah.
Right.
But on top of that, and this is what Tierney was alluding to, I think. I noticed the same thing, which was we all expected him to just knock that thing out, even if we've seen it before. Because I remember very specifically him being shown, here's a dartboard. And he goes, "Oh, what do you do?" And his perfect hand-eye coordination, not only that he got a bullseye, but that the dart went all the way in. So he's got hand-eye coordination and strength. So I just thought he was going to destroy that thing like Sammy Sosa. I don't know.
They also
pick your 90s baseball player. You got it.
It's a stage fright. That's all I had.
Speaking of stage fright, what's up, Scott Jensen?
He was playing strategy. Sorry.
Just having some stage fright. That's all it is. Yeah. Like everybody said, all the way around. Like everybody has said, it's absolutely phenomenal from start to finish. Just the conversations that I found that, while there is a lot of running around, a lot of physical comedy too. That scene with Ben and Cassidy in his quarters where he explains the story is like, and he's being serious and he's hilarious the whole time. Because if you're sitting in I don't know how Cassidy's not just cracking up the entire time he's saying all this stuff.
Did. She actually cracked up.
And then exactly like TJ said, I believe it was, is how she was like just immediately in the next scene, like, that's exactly what it is. I loved everybody's reactions. Everybody was on point 100% with comedy in this. From Aaron's face in so many of these shots. I had to stop and replay it. Particularly one of my favorite scenes is, let's look how far he has come from when he was screaming about why he wanted to join Starfleet because he didn't want to wind up like his dad. And then we have a scene in the bar at the very end. He goes, "That's my dad," and he's proud of Rom so much for Rom just being himself too, not because he had achieved anything or anything like that. He was just 100% being Rom. And I love so much of this all the way through. I did catch one thing that I know wasn't there because continuity wise, but when Ben is talking about they're out there on the field and he's like, "This is what baseball's about," he says it's about faith, it's about heart. And I thought that was pretty funny.
Faith of the heart.
About faith of the heart. But it hit me. I was like, "Wait a second, stop that! Turn the captions on real quick." Oh, he did say that. But that great feeling at the end when everybody's just nailing. And I don't know how many takes that scene took in the bar at the end. It felt like it was one take. How everybody was just nailing it one right after another, and everybody was playing off of each other. And for somebody to write dialogue that just flows like that from like essentially 8 characters, while everybody's moving and while everybody's off in their own spot, and it doesn't just seem like 227 where they're like laughing out the windows and stuff like that. It nailed it. It was absolutely great. And to manufacture triumph is something that I'm going to use in my daily life every time I do something good. I hold out my cherry Pepsi.
Wow, but the faith of the heart, Scott, you were like Esri there with a good catch.
That was my fancy Dan. That's what that was.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. Wow. Well, that's about it for us. Cirroc, do we have any final thoughts on this episode? I feel like we could talk about this forever.
I wanted to double down, I think, on what Scott was saying, but I think somebody else brought it up earlier. But the Vulcan in this, I thought he did a great job of playing the villain in this and pressing the right buttons and setting kind of the tone for Avery to play opposite. Right in the opening scene, I love the whole. So yeah, I heard you won your Christopher Pike Medal of Valor award.
Damn.
And he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you did too, right? He's like, yeah, my second. Double.
It was so real.
I love this guy. I love Captain Solak.
Yeah. So he knew how to press the buttons and really rub it in. And I thought that he did an excellent job of just getting underneath Sisko's skin.
All the way underneath.
Yeah, totally.
All the way under. Yeah.
This man has been not phased by the Dominion yet. This Vulcan's getting him so pissed. He's not the Dominion doesn't make him that mad. Well, he doesn't make him that mad. Yeah.
Well, because this Vulcan who's supposed to be emotionless is pretty emotional for dragging out this rivalry for how many decades?
Will piss you off. Or science.
Yeah.
Right. Paper. He's probably going to write a paper about this baseball game.
Yeah, right? He might. But it's not going to hurt him anymore. It's not going to hurt Sisko because he's kind of released that.
Yeah, he just got over it. Yeah.
He got over that. But I also like the moment where they all put their hands on each other and say, win it for the captain. And I thought that was like another moment that was special, that everybody's like, you know what? We're going to get over whatever issues we have with how he's handling us and whatever chip he has on his shoulder. We're going to go out there and try to win it for him. And that's kind of the win one for the Gipper kind of mentality. And I thought it was a great moment. The whole bonding of the cast to me felt like everybody got along really well. And it felt good to watch. It was a very fun episode. And it wasn't long enough for me. There were moments when I just was saying, wow, this could go on. This could be a two-parter. And one other thing. Sisko, Avery's just, he does so many remarkable things that it's just hard to give him credit for all of them. But when he's sitting in the stance by himself and he's got his leg up and he's pissed off that he just got kicked out of the game, the body language, I mean, the whole thing just resonated for me of somebody who is frustrated, but still like gonna be there. I just felt like I felt the energy that he was giving off in that moment when he was just, brooding on in the benches. And then you can also see his wheels spinning when he started to ask for the crowd and all of these other things. That made this episode just that much more special. I just think altogether, it was so enjoyable to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And his number was 15, by the way, and Nog was 25. Those are the two numbers that
I'd like to know where the ball is. Who has that ball?
Me too. I'd like to know where that ball is too. I'd like to know where I want to know where my jersey is. Who has the Sisko 78 jersey? I want that jersey. I'm gonna buy it from you.
I have not seen those things anywhere at auction.
Yeah.
Just want to point out that number 25, especially back in 98, that's Barry Bonds. And a correction, Melissa, Solak was not pissed. It was a hint of anger, a touch of jealousy, and a lot of bitterness.
That's
cocktail.
Pissed.
Yeah.
That's
For a Vulcan.
That's Vulcan for pissed.
That's the recipe for pissed, Melissa.
Dash of this and a dash of that.
Lastly, everybody at home, please make sure that when you are listening into us on our audio podcast, please give us a 5-star rating and leave us a nice review. And we might read your review on this show, like this one from Mo Food, who gives us 5 stars. That's very, very nice. Says, it reads, wonderful podcast, wonderful people. I love this podcast so much. The hosts are incredibly insightful and kind. Greatly increases my enjoyment and appreciation of the show by watching an episode and then listening to the corresponding discussion. Highly recommend. Also encourage everyone to participate in their live YouTube premieres to engage with other fans. So thank you very much for that great review. Everybody else, you should leave us a review too. Even if you don't, boy, if you're mad at us, let us have it. We sure will read that out loud.
Enough with the Yankees talk, Homer. We got it.
Hey, it's the captain.
Homer says, number 15 was Thurman Munson, who is known as the captain. Cool. That's good knowledge.
Who also played with Greg Nettles. Or Miles O'Brien.
This had nothing to do with Greg Nettles. I checked the companion. There's no mention.
Some things don't make it into the companion.
True.
Ratio.
And
all right.
Star Trek Deep Space Nine connection of a huge, major baseball fan is Kitty Swink.
Oh,
Armin's wife.
Oh.
She's a mega baseball fan.
All right. Yeah. Well, we do have to run. We do want to thank also a huge baseball fan, Eve England out in Wales. Thank you for joining us. Homer Freezy out somewhere in New Yeezy. Anil Palat out in Asia Minor. Dr. Susan V. Gruner. The Borg Queen, Tierney C. Diekman. TJ Jackson Bay, the Party Gorn. And Gul Scott, the Evil One. Thank you all for joining us. For myself, Cirroc, Melissa, and number 25, Aron Eisenberg. Thank you all for joining us. We will see you next time. Until then, always remember the 7th rule.